You felt it. The sting of giving her your full attention, your time, your effort, and watching her interest slide out from under your feet. It's brutal because your intention was pure. You wanted to show up, to be present, to make it obvious that you're into her. But attraction doesn't reward effort, it rewards energy. And the energy that pulls a woman forward isn't a parade of compliments or an eager stream of availability. It's the quiet gravity of a man who moves with purpose, who can take her or leave her without flinching, and who never auctions his attention in the marketplace of approval. Tonight, I'm going to install that gravity inside you. Not by playing tricks, not by becoming cold or cruel, but by shifting the frame you live in. Because the number one attraction trigger isn't a line, a look, or a trick. It's your relationship to yourself in the presence of a desirable woman. When you correct that relationship, the polarity flips. She leans in, she invests, she starts to chase. If what you've heard so far is already shaking something loose inside your chest, stay with me until the end. We're just getting started. Here's the hard truth most men never swallow. When you chase a woman, you're not just moving your feet toward her, you're moving your center away from yourself. That's why the more you chase, the less she feels. Attraction is sensitive to center of gravity. When your attention lives outside your body, glued to her face, her phone, her responses, you become light and easy to move. When your attention lives inside your body, rooted in your breath, your posture, your pace, you become heavy, textured, and interesting. She can feel the difference across a room. It's primal. So the first step isn't a tactic, it's a decision. You decide you are the chooser. Not because you're superior or entitled, but because you are responsible for your life. You're not applying for her love. You're evaluating compatibility with calm curiosity. You're not auditioning, you're casting. That decision changes your eyes. Your gaze becomes steady, not searching. Your voice slows, not to be dramatic, but because there's nothing to prove and nowhere to rush. You hold silence without panic. Most men cannot hold silence. They hemorrhage value in the gap. But you'll learn to breathe there. That's where tension is born. Tension is the oxygen of attraction. Now, let's make this practical. Before you approach, before you text, before you plan a date, you establish standards. Not rules you'll break when you're attracted. Standards you live by because they protect your energy. For example, you do not chase anyone's attention. You reciprocate interest proportionally. You don't message a woman twice in a row if she hasn't responded. You don't argue with indifference. You don't negotiate for enthusiasm. You don't move plans last minute unless it's serious. You don't tolerate flaky behavior without consequence. And most importantly, you refuse to abandon your mission to orbit hers. These are not threats, they are boundaries. Boundaries create shape, and shape creates desire. Without boundaries, your attention floods the room until it becomes invisible. With boundaries, your attention becomes scarce, and scarcity is the soil where effort grows. You want her effort, not to control her, but because mutual effort is the lifeblood of a real connection. When she invests, she values. When she values, she pursues. When she pursues, the dance becomes effortless. Picture this. You walk into a crowded place and see a woman you're drawn to. Most men's nervous system spikes. They either hover waiting for a perfect moment, or they bulldoze in with jittery energy and overtalk. Not you. You feel your feet. You slow your breath. You take a beat longer than you're comfortable with. You approach with a calm smile like you already know the outcome will be good, not because you're psychic, but because you're self-led. You open simply. No theater. Hey, quick hello. I had to say you have a very grounded vibe. Then you pause. You let her feel you. Your body is still. Your eyes are warm. Calmness is contagious. In that pause, she scans you. Posture, scent, tone, micro-expressions. You're not pushing for laughter or approval. You're watching how she responds to your presence, not to your words. If she's receptive, you continue. A few lines of authentic curiosity, a tease anchored in respect, then you exit before the energy peaks. I'm about to meet a friend, but I'd enjoy finishing this conversation. What's your best contact? You lead. You don't hover waiting for fate to carry you. You collect the number and go. That exit is the first lesson you're giving her. Your time is paced. Your world doesn't collapse into her on first contact. That pacing creates hunger. When you text, you maintain the same pacing. Texting isn't a performance, it's a bridge to the next moment in real life. So you don't turn your phone into a confessional. You don't send a drip feed of attention hoping to stay in her awareness like a commercial jingle. Your messages are clean, intention-driven, and spaced. When she replies, you don't scramble to answer instantly. You respond when you can give presence, not just speed. Speed is not value, depth is. You create a rhythm. Light, playful nudge, brief pause, lean-in question that reveals something real, concise close that proposes a plan. Tuesday, 7:30, a wine bar with a quiet corner. You'll like it. Most men ask the equivalent of a committee vote. What do you want to do? Leaders propose. If she suggests a change, you absorb it and guide. You don't ping-pong logistics for days because you're terrified of the word no. You tolerate no. You respect no. And because you respect no, your yes has weight. Remember this, the man who can walk away without resentment is the man she wants to follow. On the date, your mission is simple. Keep your center, calibrate the energy, and let her discover you in layers. You don't flood her with your resume, you offer threads, enough to hint at depth without dumping your history on the table. Mystery isn't secrecy, it's sequence. Men who overshare are trying to buy closeness with information. But intimacy grows from shared tension, novelty, aligned values, and the subtle escalation of trust. Trust begins when she notices your attention is steady but not sticky. She can feel your attraction, but there's no neediness behind it, no pressure for a specific outcome. Pressure repels, invitation draws. So you invite, then you retreat to your center. Not as a stunt, but as your default. You ask questions that require opinions, not facts. You listen to how she thinks, not just what she's done. You challenge gently. If she says she likes confident men, you smile and say, "And what makes you feel safe enough to relax with one?" That's a move. It flips the script from you proving yourself to her noticing her own criteria. The moment she starts justifying her preferences to you, the chase has begun. Now let's talk about the physics of attention. Attention is the currency, investment is the proof, effort is the chase. Most men hoard their attention like it's worthless. They give it to everything, so it buys nothing. You will allocate your attention like a professional investor. Early on, your attention is light and positive, like the sun coming through the blinds. It warms, it doesn't burn. As she invests, by initiating conversations, asking personal questions, suggesting plans, your attention deepens, not as a reward like a trainer handing out treats, but as a natural reciprocation. This asymmetry is crucial. You don't match effort instantly. You lag slightly behind. That lag is where she starts wondering about you. Wonder is the seed of pursuit. If she's giving you a little, and you're giving a little less, she moves forward to close the gap. If she's giving a lot, and you're giving slightly less than a lot, she still moves forward. But now she's emotionally invested. What you're avoiding is the first date overdose, where you give more intimacy, availability, and validation than she's earned. Overdoses feel good for an hour and toxic the next day. When she wakes up, she feels full, and fullness kills hunger. You want to leave her deliciously unsatisfied, curious, and eager to see you again. Body language. This matters more than you think. Sit like a man who is comfortable being seen. Shoulders open, spine tall, hands relaxed, eyes that take their time. When you speak, you lower your voice just a touch, not as a trick, but because a slower tempo signals internal certainty. You don't nod constantly. You hold your expressions. You build contrast. Sometimes you're playful and warm. Sometimes you're quiet, reflective, watching her. That contrast creates texture. Women feel you more than they analyze you. They read micro shifts that you can't fake. So your job isn't to perform, it's to clear the noise. Before the date, take 5 minutes to breathe. Drop your awareness into your abdomen and remind yourself, I like her. I don't need her. I lead. I listen. I enjoy. Simple, grounded, masculine. If your nervous system spikes, name it. I'm unexpectedly excited. Naming disarms it. Nothing is less attractive than a man who hides his nerves under sarcasm. Nothing is more attractive than a man who can own them and then relax. Let's address tests. If a woman is drawn to you, she will test you. not to punish you, but to feel your edges. Think of it like checking the strength of a railing before leaning your full weight on it. Common tests: teasing your outfit, delaying replies, challenging your plan, bringing up other men, or creating small moments of social pressure. Most men collapse, over-explain, defend, chase. You won't. You treat tests like weather, acknowledged, not obeyed. If she pokes your shirt, you smile. Agreeably controversial. You'll survive. If she delays, you don't escalate your attention. You de-escalate. If she challenges your plan without a reason, you take the frame. I like this spot. If it doesn't hit, we'll pivot. You'll be fine. If she brings up other men, you don't compete. You remove yourself from the race. I'm not in a rush to prove anything. We'll see if we fit. Every test is an opportunity to demonstrate that your self-respect is non-negotiable. Self-respect is the magnet. It tells her you have a spine, and a spine is safety. Safety isn't blandness. It's the sense that your presence is reliable even when the wind blows. There's a point in every interaction when your restraint should ignite a spark. That spark is escalation. You are not a statue. You're a man who leads. Escalation isn't a grab, it's a gradient. A touch on the forearm when she laughs, a hand guiding her through a doorway, sitting beside her instead of across when the conversation deepens. You watch for reciprocity. She leans in, stays close, touches back, plays with hair, asks more personal questions. If the signal is weak, you slow down. If the signal is strong, you deepen eye contact and lower your voice to share something real about your life, a challenge you faced, a lesson that taught you discipline. Not to trauma bond, but to reveal backbone and growth. She needs to feel your edges and your depth. If the moment invites it and you're both aligned, you take the initiative. I want to kiss you. Direct, respectful, unapologetic. If she hesitates or says not yet, you accept it smoothly and shift the energy without sulking. That clean response tells her you are safe, and paradoxically, safety amplifies desire. There's a difference between pressure and presence. Only one creates pursuit. Now, the lure of social proof. Humans are tribal. Attraction is contagious. When other people, especially women, respond well to you, it signals quality. But don't fake it, don't brag, and don't build your worth on borrowed interest. Build an ecosystem where you naturally demonstrate value. Friends who respect you, a craft you're improving, a routine that upgrades your mind and body, places where you're known. Invite her into that world. Don't abandon it to join hers. If she senses that your life collapses into her orbit, she'll test harder or drift. When your life continues with rhythm and momentum, regardless of her presence, she feels the relief of meeting a man she doesn't have to manage. Men who need management are exhausting. Men who self-govern are intoxicating. That's the trigger: self-governance. It's the essence of what makes her chase. Not games, not mind tricks, just the enduring sense that you lead yourself first. Let's talk texting after a great date. The inexperienced man tries to freeze the high by sending a tide of sweet nothings. The grounded man gives space. That night. Good energy tonight. I'm smiling. That's it. Next day, you're back to your mission. When you reach out again, it's intentional. A reference to an inside moment you shared, then a forward motion. Thursday 8. A place with terrible lighting and great conversation. Space turns words into a gift rather than a tap on the shoulder. And if she reaches out first, you receive it with warmth, then guide. The frame is consistent. Your attention is earned by presence, not extracted by persistence. That consistency is rare. Rare is valuable. Value is chaste. Sometimes she'll pull away. Not because you did anything wrong. People have lives, moods, fears. When she pulls away, you mirror. You don't magnify. You don't send a paragraph. You don't demand clarity. You don't lean in harder to keep the balloon from floating away. You simply reduce investment while staying open. A week later, a light ping with no pressure. You disappeared. I figured the aliens got you. If she re-engages with effort, you continue. If she offers excuses without action, you release. The ability to release without animosity is elite. It tells the world you trust abundance. Scarcity mindset is the mother of chasing. Abundance mindset is the father of being chased. And abundance isn't a fantasy, It's a practice. It's built by widening your life, multiple projects, a training plan, deep friendships, hobbies that challenge you. When your days are full, you don't need to occupy hers. Now let's calibrate your words. Language shapes reality. You'll use phrases that signal leadership, standards, and curiosity. Leadership. Here's what I'm thinking. I'll choose the first spot. You pick dessert. We'll keep it to an hour. I've got an early morning. Standards. I don't do last-minute cancellations unless it's important. I prefer straightforward. If we vibe, we continue. If not, no hard feelings. Curiosity. What do you do for fun when nobody's watching? What would the people who love you most say your superpower is? What's something you used to believe that you've outgrown? These aren't scripts to parrot, they're angles to inhabit. They open doors. They create a subtle frame where you are the center of your life. She's welcome to enter. And if she does, she'll find a man who values his time and knows how to amplify hers. There's a pattern to sustainable attraction. Desire, tension, progression, release. Desire is your honest interest, clean and unapologetic. Tension is your restraint, the space you create by not overfeeding. Progression is your leadership, clear steps forward. Release is your warmth, humor, authenticity, the little moments where you let her see your humanity. Too much desire without restraint becomes thirst. Too much restraint without warmth becomes indifference. Too much progression without permission becomes pressure. Balance these, and you become the rare experience she remembers during quiet rides home. She'll replay the way you held eye contact, the way your hand was firm but respectful, the way you left on a high instead of dragging the night into emptiness. She'll text her friend and her friend will say, "He sounds different." Different is chaste. Let's address the inner saboteur, neediness. Neediness is not wanting. Wanting is natural. Neediness is the story that you have to secure her attention to feel okay. That story leaks out in 1,000 ways. Over-explaining your schedule, seeking reassurance, apologizing for taking the lead, waiting for a green light before you express your desire, pretending to agree with everything she says. You'll cut that story at the root. How? By building a deeper source of certainty. Train your body. It clears static. Set goals that stretch you. It creates momentum. Keep promises to yourself. It builds trust. And practice micro risks socially, saying what you mean in small moments, asking for what you want, tolerating discomfort. Certainty is forged in friction. Every time you make a clean bid, "I want to see you Thursday," and survive the uncertainty, you get stronger. The man who can survive uncertainty is irresistible. He doesn't flail for control. He sits in the pocket and breathes. Now, on social media and the ambient signals you broadcast. Your digital presence should mirror your real-life frame. Selective, intentional, and alive. Share slices of your world that reveal leadership, growth, humor, and community. Not thirst traps, not humble brags, not a gallery of selfies fishing for comments. Think moments that show competence and connection. A project you're building, a trip with friends, a personal milestone, a quiet scene that hints at discipline. If she follows you, let her witness your momentum without making her your audience. You're not performing to keep her interested. You're documenting a life she would be lucky to join. That subtle difference in intent is everything. There's also the question of compatibility. You're not trying to make every woman want you. That's a boy's mission. A man's mission is to reveal himself truthfully and let incompatible dynamics fall away. You can be magnetic and still not be a fit for someone, and that's fine. You don't fight for mismatches. You don't negotiate your values. You're willing to be misunderstood by the wrong person to be fully seen by the right one. That willingness is profoundly attractive. It says, "I won't collapse myself to earn you." When you hold that, women feel safe exploring you, because they sense you won't shapeshift into whatever pleases them. You are who you are. Paradoxically, that freedom invites deeper play. Here's a tactical sequence for dates that makes her lean forward. You choose environments with movement and intimacy. A quick coffee or a short walk to open, then a shift to a tucked-away lounge where conversation can deepen. You keep the first segment short, 20 to 30 minutes, by design. If it clicks, you extend. If it doesn't, You exit gracefully. You sit beside, not across, once comfort is established. It naturally lowers the barrier and makes touch organic. You tell a story in the present tense about a day that challenged you. Make it sensory and concise, ending on a lesson you carry. You ask a question that invites her to reveal something she's proud of that nobody notices. You listen without rushing to add your version. Later, you tease lightly about something endearing she does. Teasing done right is not a jab, it's a wink. It creates a private language. Then you time your exit slightly earlier than she expects. I'm going to call it here. I've got a morning that won't forgive me. You smile, you hold eye contact a beat longer than comfortable, and you leave. The absence becomes a presence. The next day, the chase breathes. A word on ethics disguised as power. You never manipulate. You never pretend to be busy when you aren't. You never dangle affection to engineer insecurity. That's not strength. It's weakness wearing a mask. Real power is clean. You say what you want, you enforce your standards, you protect your time, and you honor hers. Enthusiastic reciprocity is the only channel you operate on. If she's ambivalent, you step back. If she's eager, you match and lead. Simpler than most men want it to be, but more demanding, because it requires self-control. And self-control is sexy. She can feel when you want her, and you are still choosing your pace. That's intoxicating. Let's bulletproof your mindset for the moments that tilt men off center. When she's incredibly beautiful and you feel outclassed, remember, your value is not tied to her looks. Your value is your internal state, your standards, your purpose, and your ability to create an experience. When she mentions other suitors, remember, you're not competing, you're contrasting. When she cancels, remember you respond once with grace and a boundary. All good, let's try next week. If not, we'll leave it. Then you move on. When she's hot and cold, remember, you mirror the average, not the spikes. When she tests, remember, you smile and stay the course. When you feel like over-messaging, remember you go to the gym, to your craft, to your mission. Your thirst is a signal to invest in yourself, not to send another text. Master these moments and you'll feel a switch flip. You'll stop measuring your worth by her reactions and start measuring your leadership by your consistency. If what you're hearing is landing, if you can feel your posture straighten, your jaw unclench, your mind clear, drop your thoughts below. Tell me the shift you're making this week. I read every single one. And if there's a brother in your life who keeps chasing shadows and calling it love, send this to him today. Don't keep it to yourself. Before we close, let me give you the simplest formula you'll ever use. Attention plus boundaries plus leadership plus warmth. Attention says, I see you. Boundaries say, I see me. Leadership says, follow me. Warmth says, you'll enjoy it. Each piece checks the others. Attention without boundaries becomes chasing. Boundaries without warmth becomes walls. Leadership without attention becomes arrogance. Warmth without leadership becomes friend zone. When you carry all four, you become the man many women don't just want to meet, they want to keep. Why? Because you reduce uncertainty without reducing excitement. That is rare. Rare gets pursued. So, what is the number one attraction trigger? It's your unapologetic, self-led presence, expressed through decisive pacing, earned attention, and the power to walk away without bitterness. It tells her, in every glance and every pause, I choose my life. If we choose each other, we'll both rise. That message is irresistible because it promises safety and challenge in the same breath. Safety because you are consistent. Challenge because you are not for sale. She will chase what she respects and feels drawn to explore. Give her something worthy to chase, a man who belongs to himself. If this has recalibrated the way you see attraction, if the dots are connecting and you feel that steady heat in your chest, stay with me. Hit subscribe so you don't drift back into old patterns. Tell me in the comments the one boundary you'll enforce this week and the one lead you'll take. And if this spoke to you, share it. The men who learn to hold their center change their lives, and the women they meet feel it instantly. Now go. Lead your day. Let the world make the first move for once.